Hey, welcome back to the channel, Moving to Sacramento. I am Jason Hamilton, your Sacramento property guy, and today we're going to talk about the top 5 reasons why you may not want to move to Sacramento. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Sacramento. I've been here my entire life. Can't really see myself moving and living in another city, but there are some things that if you're considering moving to Sacramento that you're going to want to know that you may not know. So number 1, let's jump right into it. It's expensive out here. Now, compared to San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles, and some of the other bigger cities in California, Sacramento is relatively inexpensive. Hold on, bug just flew in my eye. Yeah, compared to some of the bigger cities, Sacramento is much less expensive than those. However, compared to the rest of the nation, Sacramento on average is about 41% higher than the rest of the nation. So while compared to California prices, we're lower than some of the bigger cities. You know, if you're coming from out of California trying to move into California, you're going to get a big sticker shock with some of the prices out here. Our average price in the area that I'm standing right now is a little over $500,000 for this neighborhood that's behind me. So I don't know where you're coming from. Maybe it's a little more expensive than or less expensive than where you are now. But for the most part, from what I know about the United States, Sacramento and California home prices are going to be much more expensive. So that's one thing that you're going to want to consider when you're moving out here. But it's not just the home buying prices that are expensive. The rental prices in Sacramento are expensive. Just for your average 3-bedroom house in an okay neighborhood, going to probably start off around $2,400 in rent and up. The better neighborhood you get into, the more expensive. I mean, for a 3-bedroom house, depending on the size and the area, you could spend upwards to $3,500, $4,000 a month to rent that property. So yeah, buying prices are high, rental prices are high. Another thing to consider when you're moving out to Sacramento as far as expenses go is the cost of gas. The average cost of gas in the United States today, I checked this morning, $3.44 on average. In the Sacramento area, you're going to be spending on average $5.45 for today's prices. However, some of the gas prices around town that I've stopped at for premium, if you had to put premium in your gas tank, you're going to be spending over $6 per gallon right now. Gas prices are up there. So that's one of the things that you're going to want to consider as well. As you may, depending on where you're coming from, you may be spending $2 more per gallon on gas. Another thing that you're going to want to consider when you're moving out here is utilities, transportation, and healthcare are far more expensive. I won't say far more expensive, but they're more expensive than the national average when you're moving out to this area, especially healthcare. Healthcare is really expensive in California, and Sacramento is no exception. So if you're going to be moving out here, you definitely want to consider those. And then let's talk about the food. The food out here is expensive. I don't know if you've heard, but now fast food restaurants have to pay their employees $20 per hour. Well, who do you think these corporations are going to pass those costs on to? Us, the consumer. So food prices have gone up. The food in the grocery stores have gone up. It's just overall really expensive to live in the Sacramento or California areas compared to other states in the United States. All right, number 2, let's talk about it. It's hot in Sacramento. Average temperatures in the summer are going to be in the mid-90s, and we spike all the way up to 110, sometimes even more out here in the summer. It gets really hot. So if you live somewhere that doesn't get very hot, then you might want to prepare for that. Another thing you're going to want to consider is it's a little different heat. If you're coming from a place that has high humidity, but the weather doesn't get that hot, it's going to be different. You're going to have to get used to the fact that we have a dry heat. It's kind of like walking into a dry sauna, you know, as opposed to walking into the wet steam room that you would get down south sometimes. So that's another thing that you're going to want to consider. Before we get to point number 3, I just wanted to remind you that I am a licensed real estate agent. And as much as I like making these videos, I would love even more to help you with your real estate needs. So you can call or text the number that's popping up on the screen, or shoot me an email. I'd be happy to talk to you and find out what it is you're looking for, find out what your time frame and your plan is. If you're planning on moving to the Sacramento or surrounding areas, I'd be honored to help you. Now, let's get to point number 3. All right, the third reason that you may not want to live in the Sacramento area is our air quality. Now, don't get me wrong, most of the time the air quality here is pretty good, but in the summertime or even sometimes in the springtime, the quality of air that we get out here is pretty bad. You can see it when you go up about 30 minutes, you can go up to Folsom or El Dorado Hills, which are some surrounding cities in the area, and they kind of sit up on the hill, and you can turn around and look down into Sacramento and just see a covering of smog and just bad air that we're breathing every day. And the reason for that is Sacramento's elevation is basically zero. We sit at the bottom of the basin or the bottom of the bowl, so all the poor air just comes and rests right on us. Another reason that we get poor quality air, mostly in the summertime, is the wildfires. And even though we don't get wildfires here in Sacramento, we do get the after effects or the residuals of those fires, where all that smoke comes into Sacramento and it just covers us. There can be times when the wildfires get really bad that a week or two you won't even see the sun in the summertime during the day, because all you can see is just layers and layers of smoke. Makes it really hard to breathe. You don't want to be outside. They have spare the air days where you're not allowed to burn anything. You know, the kiddos' practices for their sports or their games for their sporting events will get canceled for the outdoor activities because the air quality is so bad. So just know that when you come here, for the most part, the air quality is going to be good in the winter and the early spring and fall, but there's times during the year in the summertime when we want to be outside enjoying the weather that sometimes the air quality makes it unbearable and you don't want to be outside. So that's number 3. All right, point number 4. Number 4 reason why you may not want to move to Sacramento is the traffic. The traffic here has gotten really bad. I remember back in the early 2000s when the Sacramento Kings became really popular and they had a stretch of a good basketball team for a while. Not doing too bad right now, but back in the early 2000s, we had a really good basketball team, and around the country, we were known as a cow town. And people from Sacramento kind of took to that and were bringing their cowbells to the arena, shaking them during the game. So we kind of got a reputation for being a cow town. That's changed. That has definitely changed. Sacramento is a fast growing city. The city itself has over 500,000 people, and Sacramento County has probably about, I want to say about 1.7, 1.8 million people. So fast growing city. They're developing all over the place. And the infrastructure, I don't believe, was set up for that quick growth. And because of that, there's traffic everywhere you go. On the freeways, on the surface streets, you're going to run into traffic. They're trying to build up the infrastructure, widen the freeways. I've heard there's even been talk of creating another freeway out in Sacramento. I'll believe that when I see it. But right now, just about everywhere you go, any freeway you're on, at some point you're going to run into some construction traffic because they are trying to build the infrastructure for Sacramento. And then with all the new people coming to Sacramento, they're trying to keep up, and you have new home construction everywhere. And because of that, they have to shut down the roads, during the daytime when people are out trying to drive, get to and from work, get to and from the kids' practices, or just run errands. You're going to run into traffic because of the new construction and them shutting down the roads. So we're no longer that cow town that most people think we are. We're a fast growing, developing city, not as big as San Francisco or Los Angeles, which I kind of like because, hey, we're close enough to San Francisco where if I want some city life, I can get there. But the traffic here, it's getting pretty unbearable. Not something that we're all used to around here. So consider that when you come here, you're probably going to want to add extra 20-30 minutes to your trip, depending on how far your commute is to work, or to school, or just to your leisure activities that you're into. Certain times a day, you might want to tack on extra 45 minutes or an hour. And then hopefully there's no accidents or anything else shutting you down. So So traffic is another reason why you may not want to move to Sacramento, because it's not getting better, it's only getting worse. All right, we're almost to the end, but before we get to the fifth and final reason why you may not want to move to Sacramento, I do want to remind you, I am a licensed real estate agent, and as much as I like making these videos, I'd love even more to help you with your real estate needs. So call or text that number that you see popping up on the screen, or shoot me an email. Let's set up a time that we can sit down and talk, either over the phone, preferably over Zoom, so we can see each other face to face and figure out what your real estate needs are. If you are planning on moving to the Sacramento area, I'd be honored to help you. So point number 5 of why you may not want to move to Sacramento: allergies. So many people that I meet that come from other places say they've never had allergies until they moved to Sacramento. I myself didn't develop allergies until I was in my 30s, decades ago. Yeah, I'm in my 50s. I know I look 30. No, just kidding. But anyway, allergies are really bad out here. Sometimes I'll see people and say, "Hey man, how you doing?" And they're like, "Oh man, my allergies are killing me." Or sometimes people will just go missing. You can't find them. And when they finally come back to work, "Where you been?" "Man, I couldn't leave my house. My allergies were too bad." So if you don't have allergies, when you come to Sacramento, if you're here long enough, you will probably develop them. We have high pollen in the springtime. Sometimes you can just see the pollen blowing through the air. Some days are better than others. Normally right now, my eyes would be watering, but today, for some reason, I'm having a great day. No allergies today. But sometimes they can get really bad: headaches, scratchy throat. So if you're not used to pollen being in the air and you're not used to allergies, for some reason, I don't know what it is, Sacramento is just known for people to have bad allergies, and it tends to hit the people worse that aren't from here. I don't know why, I'm not a doctor, but that's just one thing that I know they talk about a lot around here, is if you're not from here, you're gonna get allergies. People that I've met that aren't from here often talk about they never had allergies until they moved to Sacramento. So just know that's gonna happen to you if you come out here. Now, I know I said a lot of bad things about Sacramento today, gave you 5 reasons why you may not want to move to Sacramento, but all in all, Sacramento is a great place to live. Like I said, I love it here. I've been here my entire life. I know the city's ins and outs and can't think of leaving anytime soon or living anywhere else. And if I do leave, it's not because of the city, it's just because I've been here all my life, and at some point maybe I should make a change. So if you're still considering moving to Sacramento, I would love to talk to you. Call that number that's popping up on the screen, shoot me a text message, or send me an email. Let's set up a time to jump on Zoom so we can talk about your needs for real estate, and I'll see you on the next video.